So I quit the program. I said, I don't know where will it come from. It's fine. This is really not feeling aligned. I shut down this program. In June, I had the highest income month. The money goal I had written down, I doubled that money goal.
What is the connection between soul and money?
Money is one of the laws of earth, right? The energy exchange on earth is money. And that's how earth kind of moves forward.
What is the connection between desire and a soul evolution journey?
I believe desire is your soul's calling.
Correct. From a soul's perspective, what happens to our soul when we have very big egos and when we are operating from fear? And I put fear and ego in the same bracket because ego comes from fear.
First one is your fear that you experience from your ancestors. The second fear we experience from society. And the third type of fear we experience is as an individual. जो आपने बोला, जो बचपन में बन गया था, that is the fear that comes up.
Conditioning fear.
Conditioning.
If you are on the path of self-improvement, self-growth, development, healing, cleansing, whatever you want to call it, my whole purpose of this podcast is to introduce all the healers and the teachers of India and the healing modalities that are available to you. There are so many options, and one or two or maybe just one will resonate with you. So I really hope through this podcast you find that one person you resonate with. If it's Akashic reading, you know who to call. She also trains you to become an Akashic reader, just in case you are interested. I am not someone who talks a lot about manifestation.
Yeah, neither do I.
I just talk about upgrade.
Yeah.
I like the language of upgrade.
Yeah.
Okay, upgrade yourself, like you upgrade your phones and your laptops. Keep upgrading yourself.
Yeah.
Each upgrade is a different timeline.
Yeah.
Different timeline comes with different perks and different superpowers. So every time you upgrade and every time I upgrade, I feel that. Arey, ये भी है, ये भी एक और नजरिया है. Arey, this is coming to me. Money is just coming to me. Things are just flowing into my life. I'm not asking for it. But the universe knows I need it and it comes. So that's what I completely understand. So I'm not a very big person on manifestations and writing and journaling and all that.
Absolutely. So, last year, so we all have this one number we want to reach to, right? We want to earn certain income in our month, right? So last year, I had a program of mine and I was feeling internally drained to sell that program, but it was like my signature offer and I was selling it, but something inside me was like, you have to end it. You have to end it. You have to end it. And I was like, how can I end a program that really brings in a lot of my income? But I knew physically I was not being able to do it justice with the client and all. So I quit the program. I said, I don't know where will it come from. It's fine. This is really not feeling aligned. I shut down this program. My 1 month, May 2024, was my lowest income month in 3 or 4 years of my business. In June, I had the highest income month. The money goal I had written down, I doubled that money goal. And I did not do anything different. So when we talk about manifesting, we are actually aligning our frequency. Yeah. And we master, like becoming a manifestor is not only about what you are receiving. It's also what you're letting go of. What parts of your identity are you letting go of? What are you holding on to?
Nice.
I think I'm capable of earning only 10,000, right? But when I detach from the number of 10,000, I might actually earn 1 lakh because my identity is not attached to somebody who wants to earn 10,000 anymore. So I feel manifesting is, it's a very interesting concept, but like Akashic, it's a very deep concept.
Yeah.
And information we're receiving right now is just, again, on the surface.
Yeah.
It's not going in depth, especially.
I mean, I have to really put it in 2 points. Manifestation is something, it is only and only about upgrading yourself by letting go. The more you let go, the lighter you become. ऐसे वजन निकल गया है, you shed off kilos, you become light, you're able to jump higher. Yeah. It is just that. And as you keep jumping higher, more and more things will keep coming into your life automatically.
Yeah.
It is not कि लिखा है, prayer किया है, ये चाहिए.
Or detaching your worth. That's one more point I would like to add. Because when you attach to something, ना वो होगा ही नहीं आपके लिए. Yeah, because there's so much pressure on that thing. Like, this has to be the one that fixes me. Yeah. Similar to Akashic Records, somebody came to me and like, I have spent so much money, I want to sign up for this, but will it really fix me? And I said, if you're going to put that kind of pressure on this, nothing is going to fix you. Because now in your mind, you're paying for this and thinking, this has to be the answer to all my questions, otherwise I'm doomed. Otherwise, you're not receiving what you need to from it. You're not receiving the energy of it. In the reading, in the session, you're more focused on मुझे क्या आंसर मिल रहा है versus मेरा body क्या feel कर रहा है, मेरा intuition क्या बोल रहा है next step लेने. So the moment you attach so much pressure to anything, it's going to not work for you. It's going to feel like more of a liability than a power or strength that you can use.
Yeah, because it's just weighing you down.
Yeah.
Attachment weighs you down.
Yeah.
Now, I know what you have probably done some 3,000 plus readings in your life. And you people come to you with all sorts of problems, heartbreak, boyfriend issues, career, boss is an ass.
Yeah.
My children are troubling me. My mother-in-law is like this, and recession chal raha hai. 1,000 issues people come to you with कि मैं क्या करूं, and you are like, I will tell you, I will guide you कि मैं क्या करूं, I'll guide you. But what I noticed with your Instagram pages, and you're quite active on it, is that you focus a lot on business and empowering people to start their own businesses.
Yeah.
What is this relationship you have with Akashic and starting businesses and helping people do that? Because that's your forte.
Yeah, that definitely is. And it comes from my own personal story. So my grandparents are refugees. And when they came to India in 1947, Sindhis.
Yeah.
They came with literally no money, no income, leaving everything behind and started from scratch. And they've seen a very hard childhood, right? So we have this collective wound of poverty embedded in our DNA already because they have left everything behind and they're coming here. And when they come here, they're starting from scratch. My own dad has gone through multiple losses in his business. Okay, I lost my home when I was very young. And from there, I have that scarcity wound again embedded. In my career journey, in my 20s, I've changed about 6 jobs. I've quit 4 businesses because I was looking for the one. All my life, I was looking for the one, something that will make me happy internally.
Partner?
No, in work.
In work.
Something that will make me happy internally. Everything that I started felt good at first. And later on, I felt like this is not working for me. This is not working for me. But when I found Akashic Records, until I found Akashic Records, I always thought I'd been dealt a shitty deck of cards. And they hold the answers to so much wisdom. And that's basically my life experiences are basically medicine that I am here to share with the world. When I started sharing that as medicine, learning, why did I lose my house? How is that playing out in my life? What fear is that bringing up for me? What is the next action it's taking from me? I started attracting abundance. And, clients who come to me when I became a mom, right? I felt like, abhi meri life khatam. Because that's what I've seen my mom do, right? When you're a mom, your life is over. When you're a mom, you basically now are only living for your child. And I was like, I don't have an identity anymore. And that was not okay for me, right? It was not okay for me. So when I became a mom, I started realizing that she is driving me to my purpose. She is putting those triggers in me. So it reveals a greater depth of what I'm here to learn.
Your daughter, you mean?
My daughter. Yeah. And a lot of moms, a lot of stay-at-home moms, a lot of women who've quit corporate, a lot of women who are in corporate come to me because they feel for women to earn money, they either have to depend on their husband, on their fathers, or corporate jobs. And I want to break that thing that women cannot earn money having freedom. I work for 2-3 hours a day only on the days my daughter goes to school. If she has 1 month holidays, I am 1 month not working, right? And that is a choice because I am a full-time mom. Like, she is my first priority. And for me, that is, I want to embody that so people take that on, that you don't need to hustle. You don't need to do this. You get to live life on your terms. And that is one of the biggest things I wanted to share, which is why I talk so much about business, because people still feel to learn business or to start a business, I need to know how to sell properly. I need to know how to message properly. I need to know how to have a beautiful website. I have grown my business without any of these. I earned my first 6 figures when I had 450 followers on Instagram. No website, nothing, right? So it is something I'm deeply passionate about because I have come from poverty consciousness. I have had only experiences with losing money in my life, whether it's through my father or whether it is through my work where I've not been able to earn certain income and I've quit my jobs, I've quit my businesses. And now I know that was all the threads I was holding on to. And that's why it's such a passionate topic for me to like really share that women just, if a woman changes her life, it's ripples effect into society, not only family.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Change the women, change the world.
Yeah,
Empower the women,
absolutely.
empower the world.
Absolutely.
If I come to you saying, Sanchi, dragging my feet, walk is heavy, ऐसा shoulders ऐसे हैं, I'm so tired of my life and I just sick and tired of it and I want to change it and I don't know what to do, I don't know where to begin from. How do I have a better life? How do I change things? Give me a step-by-step process.
Yeah, so the first thing is you will have those hard conversations with yourself, right? What is really wrong? What is really impacting you? What is really affecting you? The second thing is you will set those boundaries. You know, it might be boundaries with yourself. It might be boundaries with people around you. It might be boundaries in your work that I'll not be a pushover anymore. And the third thing is taking that intuitive action, right? And for that, we need tools. We need tools like some of us need to ground more. When I started my journey, I was living a lot in my head. I needed to ground more. I needed to get more into my body. You know, I didn't have to detach from my body. So walking, running, exercising helped me ground. Some people need to process their feelings more. So journaling will help them a lot. Some people need to focus, like really have the stillness more. So meditation will help them. So realizing what you need in that moment, it may not be consistent. It may be some days you need grounding, some days you need to be still, and really when you take that intuitive action, you need to be fully connected and present in your body. If you're going to be disconnected and detached from your body, the action is not going to be.
What does that mean? Disconnected from your body or connected to your body?
We came here to have a physical experience, right? But a lot of us spiritual people or people on the spiritual path feel multiple things. Some examples are we feel highly evolved, like all of this is just rubbish and I am a better soul than them. Second thing we feel is all of this emotion is too much and I can't, when this emotion is happening, I am absorbing the emotion. And sometimes we feel like, why am I here? I just want to die. Right? And we feel this is where disconnect from the body happens.
Okay.
And when we disconnect from the body, we are basically living in the mind and we are having overthinking, we are having chronic headaches, we are having chronic illnesses, we are having body pain because your body is trying to give you a signal about something, but you are not able to process that. And we have multiple diseases take from there. So the first thing is bringing your awareness back into your body, that if this is hurting me, what is the reason behind it? And it need not always be spiritual, right? But like sometimes when I had a knee issue last year, it went on for 3-4 months. And that taught me to just be gracious with myself. Don't be so hard that I have to rush my healing. Don't be so hard that this is taking away from my ability to work out. Don't be so hard that, oh my God, like, why can't it just happen faster?
Impatient with yourself.
Impatient with myself. And I feel like that's what we are here to learn. We are here to learn the experience while being bodily connected. Else we would have just come down as light. We did not need to come down in human form.
Okay. Understanding. What I'm understanding so far, if I have to give a little synopsis of our discussion so far, the ultimate goal for a soul on planet Earth is to tap into the wisdom of the Akashic library or Akashic records, or to tap into something which we call divine intelligence or cosmic intelligence and live my life tapped into that wisdom. Once that current alignment happens, if you can live your life like that, then what happens?
Then basically you become so powerfully connected to yourself. And what happens there is you're not viewing experiences as good or bad. You're viewing experiences as experiences. And you are allowing the experiences to take place. So when you watch a drama movie, right, you are not affected by some actor getting hurt, right? You're waiting for like, oh wow, this is a beautifully made movie. You're viewing it in the movie experience. You're not cutting scene by scene, editing the entire experience. When you learn to live in that frequency of the soul aligned to divine intelligence, you're viewing life as a movie. You're not being the editor, ye mere sath kyun hua, ye kaise hua, but I am a good soul, what bad karma have I done? You're not the editor chopping scenes. You're viewing everything like the way it's meant to be viewed on screen.
What do you tell people who say, but I'm a good person, why are bad things happening to me?
I say that there are no good or bad people and there are no good or bad experiences.
Okay.
Right? And I feel like this has been, so my family, I have heard this over and over again, right? Growing up, like, we are good people, we are good people. And I feel being that good person gave me so much of trauma because I was then suppressing my needs to be good. I was suppressing my voice to be good. I was not talking in front of elders or parents or friends because I'm a good girl. How can I say that to them? And when I started expressing myself, people started getting triggered. And I realized my body, my soul felt lighter than ever.
Releasing it, right?
It was just, it was releasing it. It was felt like you can now breathe, Sachi. You can now relax. I felt like till then I was walking like this, taking everyone's energy on me. And then I felt like now I can just relax, And one of the biggest learnings I've had is I don't need to make how they are receiving it as my experience. They are on their own journey. They may be triggered. They may be happy. They may be excited, or neither of them. But it's not my job to fix them. It's not my job to make them understand me.
Yeah.
They have that choice, and some of them choose to not understand me, and that's fair for them.
Wow.
Life is not the 70, 80 years you live on earth. We are such divinely intelligent beings that we are collecting these experiences for a bigger purpose and a bigger movie and a bigger play.
Kya hai ye bigger purpose?
So the journey of a soul is we are a part of something called source or God or universe, whatever word you want to give it, right? And that creation splits itself into multiple levels. Whatever levels it splits into, the connection to source or God is still there. And every experience we have, whether we are an animal or whether we are human, is to just learn, gain experience and take it back to source. Because a source is a highly intelligent being that is constantly developing intelligence. So the source is not the know-all, end-all. The source is also growing as we are growing. The experiences we are having is adding on to the source as well. It's adding into the galaxies as well, which is why, I am not the best person for this, but if you see news, right? NASA is discovering this planet and that asteroid, which has never been discovered before. They don't suddenly have new technology to discover this, but source is continuously creating. And source is continuing to create based on the intelligence we are providing it. So that is the journey of a soul, to gain experience on multiple levels through multiple lenses and multiple frequencies and help the universe divinely expand and co-create.
I understand source is not judging you. कि ये अच्छा है, ये बुरा है, तुम अच्छे हो, तुम बुरा हो. Good, bad is not something source does. We have, as human beings, that dimension we have added to our reality. Yeah. But if we don't have that dimension of good and bad, or some sense of control, there will be anarchy here, no? Yeah. So we need to add that layer of कि अच्छा है, ये बुरा है, नहीं तो ऐसे सब, and थोड़ा सा judgment is important. Otherwise, humans will do whatever. I'll kill someone, rape someone, anything can happen, right?
Yeah. So, can I go a little off tangent here?
Sure.
Yeah. So the thing is, there was a very intelligent civilization called Atlantis.
Yes.
Many years ago. We can't measure it in linear time, but I have if you want to give it a linear time, maybe 30,000 years ago. Okay. And it was based on pure love, pure frequency, all of these divine energies we're talking about. But Earth, that's why Earth was created as an experiment, to have these intelligent souls come and see what magic can we create here. And that's why we have laws on the Earth, right? We have the law of karma. We have certain laws that we came here with. Now, Atlantis went on beautifully for years and years and years. And then what they started doing was they started experimenting with DNA. They started experimenting with, mixing an animal's DNA with a humanoid's DNA and kind of seeing what they come up with, which is why it kind of failed as a civilization, which is why it kind of drowned, they say, or ceased to exist, right? And which is why from 12-strand human beings, we became 2-strand human beings because we had too much power and they were like, they are going to mess this power up. The reason why this power is, why we are again revisiting that entire sphere of tapping into intelligence and tapping into that divine creation is because we are ready to act from that place. So when we come to earth, yes, we have those rules. We have that, okay, we can't, there's a law and there's this and there's that, but they were created for a reason. They were created because we were going lost like in the wild, right? And they needed to bring us under the umbrella. So which is why the church was created, the temples were created. There were structured organizations created to show us a path.
Religion came in for that purpose.
Religion came in for that purpose. Now we are again raising the frequency, as we discussed earlier. We are going back to old school technology like Akashic records. And we are now learning that we are powerful creatives, we are source itself. And it's because our planet is now ready to receive that information again. In between, our planet was not ready to receive that information. So there is a prediction, again, this is in Dolores Cannon's books, this is in Diana Cooper's books, Diana Cooper, who is also a spiritual teacher, a spiritual guide.
Yeah, I know.
That by 2032, Earth will shift its frequency to a different level. And you are now on this path since 2012, where you have two options. Either you heal or you be stuck in the same loop that you are. So if you notice your journey, and I've asked this to multiple clients, so I know it's a proven fact. From 2012 to now, you will see that the first shift for you happened in a very minor shape in 2012. Then 2017 was a big trigger. 2020, the pandemic was an extreme trigger, which completely changed your reality. And 2023 was the next trigger. And 2025 is also a very triggering year as humanity. And these 5 years, which I have mentioned, I have asked multiple clients, multiple students, and they have all attested to the fact, yes, 2012, 2017, 2020, 2023, and 2025. So the idea is now we are letting go of on a mass level of energies that we have been holding on to that do not belong to us. And for that light to happen in 2032, this acceleration is happening on a very high level, which is why the amount of stuff we have dealt with in our lifetimes in 30, 40, 50 years is more than what previous lifetimes have dealt with in their entire lifetime, their entire journey. And this is happening because we are now trying to infiltrate Earth with light. And this was the reason for the pandemic, for the situation that's happening in Gaza. This is the reason for also the Air India crash, right? We are experiencing mass global triggers that are reshaping our alignment, our intelligence, and our connection.
Wow. So what is 2032 going to look like?
There are multiple versions of what it will look like, but it's going to be basically a complete shift from what we've ever experienced before. It's going to be more towards spirituality, more healing, more love, and more unity, right? And so forget what the future predictions are. We are moving from an individual journey to a collective journey. We are already in the process of it. And love and unity are the two factors we are being shown over and over again, which is why global events are triggering us on an individual level.
So less greed, less selfishness, more oneness.
Yeah. And we see people coming together as organizations to help these events. We see ourselves going down as protests. We see ourselves hosting these events where we are like talking about healing and allowing the souls to pass through. Those souls have chosen this experience. It's not like we are here to feel bad for them. We are here to, in fact, honor them and thank them because they chose to be a part of an experience that's really shaping how we show up.
Without any judgment, I want to ask you a question. I have friends in two spectrums. एक spectrum है more. ये भी चाहिए, ये desire खत्म हुआ तो एक और चाहिए. More bags, more shoes, more dreams. Like, one film is done, another film they want. Actors are like that. Then not all actors. I'm just giving an example. The other end of the spectrum is those who say कि we don't need much in life. जो है काफी है, थोड़ा सा ये मिल जाए हम खुश रहते हैं. Less is more, and they feel very noble that they have few desires in their life. From a soul's perspective, what is the connection between desire and a soul evolution journey?
That's a great question. So, first, let's talk about these two people, right? The first one, they're trying to numb feeling and intuitive feelings, what their soul is telling them to do. And they're filling that with more because they are thinking, yaar, ye kharid lunga, to ye khushi milegi, khushi nahi mili, dusra kya hai. It's like almost like hustling to find happiness. And the other, other category, as you said, they're trying to be very noble, right? I should be happy with what I have because wo Bhagwan ne bola hai, ye hai. So I should just accept that. And they are detaching. It's almost like I will suck myself out of that situation and I will sit in a vacuum and then call myself a martyr for achieving this enlightenment, right? I believe desire is your soul's calling.
Correct.
Every desire you have is because your soul wants to experience that, whether that's money, whether it's fame, whether it is creating something like a book or, a podcast. It's a soul's calling. Your soul wants to have these experiences and your soul does not judge, is it good or is it bad? It's, again, the worth you attach to the desire. Say, for example, your desire is to become famous, right? Now, if you're living your life thinking, I will only be happy when I'm famous, that's not what your soul wants. That's what your ego is telling you to do. When you are famous, you're thinking, oh, the whole world worships the ground I walk on. And I am so important that the world will stop functioning without me. That's again your ego. Your soul just wants to experience it like it wants to experience poverty, like it wants to experience your struggles. Your soul just wants you to have these experiences because these are the things you have not experienced or you've experienced and you've come here to re-experience them. So it does not judge you, but a desire is always what your soul wants you to have an experience.
So do not suppress desire.
Do not suppress your desire. Do not think, oh, if I am content with what I have, I am a great person. If you're stuffing the desire inside, you're going to feel one day it coming out like a volcano. And you're going to one day feel the pressure of that. And you're going to feel the, that dirty feeling you feel about yourself sometimes. That's going to come out. That, oh, why do I want that?
It's
That's
an icky feeling.
Yeah.
I know that feeling of suppression.
Yeah. So that is how it's going to come out as.
To understand money better.
Yeah.
What is the connection between soul and money? And how should we as humans look at money?
So money is a very neutral energy. And again, money is one of the laws of earth, right? The energy exchange on earth is money. And that's how earth kind of moves forward. So money is again here to be experienced as energy. It's not here to be experienced as good or bad. I have had clients who make a lot of money who've come to me and they're very unhappy, right? With the money they are making because they are like, I want more. And their lesson has literally been to allow themselves to use the money because they're accumulating that more to save it in a bank. And they're not touching the money. And they're like, I want to leave for my future generation. You did not come here to leave things for your future generation. If you want to leave for your future generation, leave wisdom, leave money also, but leave a legacy.
Yeah.
Don't lock the money in a bank and try and accumulate more. Money needs to be used. If you want to earn money, you need to use money because money the energy of money works best in circulation. That is why it's the energy exchange. If you hoard onto money without exchanging money, you will never feel like you're making enough money. But you could be earning even 10,000 and you could be spending on your desires. You could be spending on your travels, or giving yourself experiences you wanted to have. You will start seeing you will never have a moment where you don't have money. The money may sometimes be 10,000, sometimes 10 lakhs, but there will never be a moment where you feel I don't have money, because money will always be circulating around you and will always be there for you as much as you need and even more than what you need.
So soul understands the currency of money very well.
Yes, soul came here to experience money as well. That's why I chose to take birth on earth rather than elsewhere.
Now my favorite topic, fear and ego. I love this topic because I feel it is such a need of the hour. Yeah. Every human being they don't even know how many decisions they make in their day-to-day life, which is normal for them, which is coming from some fear, जो शायद बचपन में बन गया था, and they can't get rid of it because they don't even know they have to get rid of it. Yeah. From a soul's perspective, what happens to our soul when we have very big egos and when we are operating from fear? And I put fear and ego in the same bracket because ego comes from fear.
Yeah. So I will talk about three main types of fears. Okay. The first one is your fear that you experience from your ancestors. So what is passed down through the DNA, what is passed down through the familial system is one of the biggest fears people come to me for. The second fear we experience from society. You are good if you do this, you're bad if you do this is acceptable, this is non-acceptable.
Judgment.
And the third type of fear we experience is as an individual. जो आपने बोला, जो बचपन में बन गया था, that is the fear that comes up.
Conditioning fear.
The conditioning fear is actually the easiest to move past. Right?
Really, it's so tough.
Yeah, it becomes tough because the judgment starts coming in. So a lot of people who you will see are on the healing journey, they have reached the level of awareness that this is my fear. They will reach the awareness, this is what I need to do to move past my fear. What stops them? It is the conditioning of the society and then the conditioning of the ancestors. And that is what basically stops them. So I think when it comes to fear and ego, they are always teachers. They are always teachers trying to tell us what we need to work through. Money is what we need to work through. Self-doubt is what we need to work through. Validation is what we need to work through. All of these, if you see, will never come from the individual perspective. They will always come from a collective experiences manifesting as an individual experience.
From outside.
From outside to inside. Inside is the easiest to work through if you're willing to walk on this path. What stops us from taking that action is that fear that I am not good. It will take me a lot of time. A lot of people come to me, if I want to do this, but it'll take me so much time to heal, right? It'll take me so many lifetimes to heal, right? I have healed ancestral trauma in one session under 60 minutes. And this is not some jadoo tona. This is basically allowing to co-create. But I always tell them, when you walk out of the session, now that you are healed, life will give you the pattern again, not to test you, but it will give you the pattern to walk through it, celebrating yourself. I have achieved this. I'm walking.
And that's how you'll know you've achieved it.
Right? And that's where most of the people will take a step back. No, I don't have what it takes. Or I need another healing. So healing is not something you come back to as a desperate need of the hour. Healing is something you come to when you're willing to take that action. I am ready to let this baggage go. And I'm ready to walk this path that connects me to my higher self, that connects me to my soul. And fear and ego are not here as things you need to bypass, but what you need to learn from. What is this fear trying to teach me, right? When the visibility wound comes up, it's trying to teach me that it's okay to share your gifts. It's okay to feel the fear and still speak your truth. It's okay to not do certain things because of the visibility wound as well, till my body is not comfortable with it, right? And the ego is where we give ourselves way too much attachment, way too much attention, that I have ascended to another level. Ego is something I feel is here to help us. There's this saying they say that every time you think things are now set, a pattern will come in. And the ego is just trying to tell you that you have to anchor your connection into source. The moment you take it on yourself, I am fixed, or I will fix you, I will heal you, you are disconnecting from the whole point you got to that point.
I'm from Delhi and I've seen a lot of male ego everywhere around me.
Yeah.
So, tu ghada hai. Ghada kisko bola tu? Like that. When the sleeves are rolled up, they're ready for a fight.
Yeah.
A funny question, but how does my soul react to me or someone who does that?
So
Does it
patriarchy.
go like, hey Bhagwan, tumhara kya hoga? Or like,
Yeah, I feel like patriarchy is one of the biggest wounds we are working with, right? So when we talk about ancient civilizations, the matriarchy was actually the foundation of it. It was the women were goddesses, the women were worshipped, the women were leaders. And then this whole patriarchal concept came into play. Today, so many of us are working with patriarchy as a concept, not just externally, but in our own families, and there have been I have gone to my therapist telling her, listen, I am in a session, I'm in someone's Akashic records, and my help is coming to me asking me, OTP kya hai? And it's so triggering in that moment to give an OTP out, or to be like, nobody's going to my husband asking him OTP kya hai, right? And that's one of the collective things we are working towards. And why are we working towards this is also because to realize that doing that does not make us less than or more than. When I'm balancing motherhood and a family and a work, it's not making me, oh, I am so amazing, I'm doing this. It's showing me that I can play roles, I can do different things, and I don't need to keep them all balanced. I'm allowed to follow my internal rhythm. So when you are experiencing this thing, where you see the male ego come into play, there's a part of you, a very tiny part maybe, which will regress and which will want to rebel and, maybe, tell them this is not right, or, speak up or whatever. And that's the part you need to focus on, because that has felt repressed in a past life. That has felt repressed in the ancestral lineage as well. And that's the part you need to realize that it's safe. It's safe for you to have your thoughts, experiences, wisdom, and still not share it with those who are not ready to receive you. And when you share that outside to those guys who are saying, whatever, they're not ready to receive you. But when you say it to, say, a friend who's maybe acting out of patriarchy without realizing it, he will be ready to receive you. So your wisdom is supposed to be shared where it is seen, and not to everyone who we feel that needs this right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. Completely with you. Game time. So I'm going to share a common fear.
Okay.
And you have to share the wound it actually carries in 1 or 2 lines. So the game is called Behind the Fear, the story your soul is telling.
Sure.
Okay, let's go. Fear of failure.
That I will not be able to complete my mission and I will have to repeat my cycle all over again.
Fear of success.
I will have to change who I am to be successful. I'll have to let go of things I relate to right now.
Oh, we don't like change. Fear of abandonment.
I am all alone in this world and there's nobody to watch out for me.
Fear of visibility.
It's not safe to be seen for myself and my gifts.
Fear of judgment.
I will not be accepted for my point of view.
Fear of the future.
Fear of uncertainty, that things can change, lives can end, crashes happen. It's like nothing is set in stone.
But uncertainty mein to maza hai.
But it's also the fear of I'm not good enough to adapt. I don't have what it needs to adapt to the uncertainty.
Okay, that's the one.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough to adapt.
Yeah.
Fear of loneliness.
I'm not comfortable with myself. I'm not safe to be with myself. I need somebody else to attach to for my own identity.
Wow. Fear of confrontation.
I will be shunned for speaking my heart and my truth.
And nobody likes to be shunned.
Nobody.
Fear of repeating past mistakes.
That the cycle will keep repeating and I do not know a way out of this karmic loop.
Oof, that's a heavy one. Karmic loop.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give you a thought-provoking question. Most people see their life through the lens of this one life. Me in this life, Shonali, this age, this gender. But if you had to help someone shift their lens, and to see themselves as an eternal soul on a journey versus just Shonali, what would your tips be? How would you guide them to make that shift?
I would tell them to learn Akashic records.
Okay.
And I would tell them to then use the Akashic records to tap into their soul, right? But if that's not a journey that they are on right now, I would tell them to really focus, number one, on their thoughts and their downloads, right? And these downloads may not come for them when they're in meditation. It may often come in random moments in the day. Hey, this is what this means. Hey, this is what you should do. This is who you should call, right? That's number one. Number two, I would tell them to really write down their biggest struggles that they have faced in life, and looking back, what do they make of those struggles? Or what have their family experienced and what do they make of that experience? Very automatic writing type, don't think, just likhte jao. That's number two. The third thing I would tell them is to really connect to their heart, because your heart is a portal to the cosmos. Your heart is a portal to the Akashic records. Your heart is a portal to your intuition. When you just start connecting to your heart, you will be able to access all of this information for yourself, and you will be able to really help make sense of it. It will not happen at the first try, the second try. But the more you lean into your heart and the more you ask your heart, what do you need now? How do you need to feel better? All of this will start becoming available to you as well.
I reached a point in my spiritual growth where I stopped viewing my life as Shonali's life. Yeah. I'm this person, this is my identity, I'm female, daughter of so-and-so, my profession is this. I started viewing my life from a soul's journey point of view. Yeah. And that made huge shifts in the way I look at everything, right? I am not suddenly worried about time is short-lived. Yeah. I am not saying, I only have 70, 80, 60, whatever years. I'm like, it'll happen in its own sweet time. So the pressure of time went, which brought me into the present more, right? So that made a huge difference in everything I do because I'm more settled in my energy. Yeah. But how would you convince people that they should also start living and seeing their life, not from just this narrow little lens, but from a soul's bird's eye view lens?
So I would not convince people, to be very honest, because I feel like that's something they need to internally feel versus me trying to convince them, right? What I know is that as we are shifting, by 2032, there's going to be a lot of shift that's happened, which we are already experiencing, not just in the situations outside, but even in AI, the growth of AI, right? So what I believe is that we are already expanding to a level of understanding that as humans, we are still trying to make sense of it. It's like our computers catching up to the higher intelligence. And I believe that not everyone is here to ride the change. There will be some people, there will be some communities that will continue their way of living. And, this is what Dolores Cannon says, is that the earth will split into two earths. There'll be a new earth and there'll be an old earth. The new earth will be filled by people on the spiritual path, spiritual journey, spiritual awakening, and they will infiltrate it with more souls who are willing to have that experience. And there will be a second earth, the old earth, that will be filled with people who are stuck in karma, people who are stuck in negative patterns, negative loops, right? And it's not maybe physically we don't shift, right? But it could be like, say, you and I were best of friends. I choose to believe in karma versus you choose to believe in lightness, and, you choose to believe in healing. We may be neighbors and we will not cross paths with each other because our frequencies have shifted. Wow. Our frequencies have changed. And so that is why
there are a lot of neighbors who I don't know even live in my building till like 10 years.
Family members, I have lost touch with them. I mean, when we are in each other's cities, towns, we cross, they are traveling, we are traveling, we are not in touch with them. And this is going to happen at a more deeper level because we can't force anyone to leap. Which is why so many light workers have been born or created right now to provide every place that this is available for you as a tool if you are ready to experience it. Think of how many healers your parents knew.
None.
Right? Exactly. And how many you know. Every second person is
too many.
Yeah. And that is why we are facilitating, we're providing the tools, but we are not going to convince somebody. that's completely their choice. So one of the biggest laws of humanity is that we have free will.
Yeah.
And there's nothing set in stone. So you have free will. You can choose to stay with the old or choose to lean into the new. There's going to be discomfort. There's going to be growth spurts, but that's going to be either way. It doesn't matter. Like, it's not going to be like the earth. You feel like, oh, I know everything about this earth. Let's stick to this. It is going to be discomfort and quantum leaps and growth spurts everywhere, but it's your choice, and you will have to take that decision on an individual level, and then you will merge with the collective frequency of that place.
Nice. What's the difference between frequency and dimension?
So frequency is basically like a radio signal, right? And it's an individual radio signal. The dimension is the radio itself. It is basically on what collective energies are being created and what frequencies are collectively being created and what is the frequency of the planet at that point in time.
So frequency is more individual. Dimension is a group of the same frequency together as one dimension.
Yeah, then because we are collectively on that frequency, what are the shifts that are taking place on Earth? So Earth becomes more intelligent, more love, more human, and that forms a dimension itself.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sachi.
Thank you, Shonali.
So enlightening.
Thank you.
I've learned so much. And of course, every time, I have a feeling after this episode, I'm going to be processing a lot of things you've said. Like, it's going to keep coming to me in flashes because there's so much you've shared. So thank you.
No, thank you for having me and, speaking about this.